All right, let's dive right in. Today we're tackling a question that's absolutely fundamental to the blockchain world. Should you go public or private? This choice can change everything. Security, speed, cost, you name it. Getting this right is so crucial. So let's get to the heart of what really separates these two.
So, what's a good way to wrap our heads around this? Well, imagine you're building something brand new. Do you need a public park, totally open for anyone to come in and play by the same rules? Or do you need a private fortress with guards at the gate where only a select few are allowed in for a very specific purpose? That's really the core choice we're going to break down.
Okay, let's start with the one you've probably heard about. When someone says blockchain, you're likely thinking of Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? The Economist famously called it a machine for creating trust. And that's the classic model. It was designed to be trustless because it operates in the wild west of the internet, where you just can't assume anyone is on your side. But what does trustless really mean? Let's get a solid definition here. A decentralized system isn't just one that's spread out. The key is that multiple different authorities control different pieces, and this is the important part. No single one of them is automatically trusted by everybody else. So how do you actually build that? Well, it turns out you need all 5 of these pillars to make it work. It all starts with disintermediation, basically no central boss. That's all possible because of a peer-to-peer network and a distributed ledger. The trust isn't in a person, it's algorithmic. It's just baked into the code. And finally, that code has got to be open source so anyone on Earth can check it and make sure the rules are fair. You take one pillar away and the whole thing starts to get shaky.
So how in the world do you pull this off with thousands of people you don't know? The answer is this really powerful idea called entangled redundancy. It sounds super complicated, I know, but the idea is actually pretty simple. To make sure it's secure, every single part of the system does every single job, over and over again. It's like this giant self-auditing web of checks and balances.
And you can really see that difference here. On the left, you've got your typical corporate system. It's built for efficiency, right? You have one team for authentication, another for storage, and so on. But on the right, the public blockchain, every single node is doing every single job. It is massively inefficient, on purpose. That's what makes it so incredibly secure. There's no single point of failure because everything is happening everywhere, all at once.
Okay, but here's the catch. That rock-solid security, that radical openness, well, it doesn't come for free. Building a system that trusts no one actually comes with some pretty serious downsides, especially when you try to bring it into the business world.
And here's the real kicker. The very things that make public blockchains so strong are also what make them kinda weak for business use. They are incredibly inefficient. We're talking slow and expensive. They give you zero confidentiality, which is a total non-starter for most companies. And they're extremely inflexible. Those rigid rules are a great feature for security, but they're a bug when you need to adapt or, fix something.
Just to put that efficiency problem into perspective for you, Bitcoin can handle maybe 7 transactions a second. Visa, on the other hand, handles thousands. I mean, if you're a business running a supply chain or a payments network, 7 transactions a second is it's a complete non-starter. This huge performance gap is a big reason why businesses started looking for another way.
And this quote right here, this is where everything changed. Businesses started to realize, hey, maybe the goal isn't to build this perfect, trustless system for the whole world. Maybe the goal is to build something useful that solves our specific problem. All of a sudden, usefulness, not trustlessness, became the name of the game.
So, this new way of thinking opens the door for a totally different approach, the private blockchain. And it's not some watered-down version of a public one. No, it's a completely different tool designed for a different job in an environment where things like efficiency and control are what really matter.
So, what is a private blockchain, really? If I had to sum it up in one word, it's permissioned. It works in a closed environment, kind of like a company's internal network. There's a central administrator, or maybe a group of them, who decides who gets in, what they can do, and who gets to validate transactions. It's strictly invitation only.
I love this diagram because it shows how it's a completely different mindset. The private blockchain is a team player. It doesn't come in and try to replace everything. Nope. It works with the existing business world, with legal contracts, established trust, and all those intermediaries. It's designed to make the current system better, not to tear it all down.
And being a team player means it delivers on all the things a business actually cares about. Access is permissioned, so you know exactly who you're dealing with. Control is handled by an owner or a group. Privacy is a core feature,
which keeps your sensitive data under wraps. And most importantly, the performance is fantastic. It's fast and can scale to meet real enterprise needs.
All right, we've looked at both sides of the coin. Now let's put them head to head. Let's really compare the public park to the private fortress.
This table just lays it all out, crystal clear. Who can participate? Anyone versus invite only. How's it run? Decentralized versus centralized. What about speed? Slow versus fast. Privacy? Totally transparent versus confidential. I mean, the takeaway is obvious. For pretty much every single thing a business cares about, speed, cost, privacy, the private model has a huge advantage.
Okay, that's a lot to take in. So how do you actually choose? It's not about which tech is better in some abstract way. It's all about picking the right tool for the job you need to do. Let's walk through a simple way to figure that out.
And this, right here, might be the single most important thing to remember from this whole discussion. Don't start with the technology. Start with your problem. Are you trying to build trust between total strangers online, or are you trying to make things run smoother with partners you already know? Your answer to that question points you directly to the right architecture.
So here's your checklist. Just ask yourself these 5 simple questions. Who needs to be in the network? What's the main goal? Building trust from scratch or boosting efficiency? How fast does it need to be? What are your privacy needs? And who gets to make the rules? If your answers are all pointing toward known partners, efficiency, high speed, and confidentiality, then you are firmly in private blockchain territory.
Now, it's not always a black and white choice. There's some gray area in the middle. You've got consortium blockchains, which are like a private club run by a group of companies. Think of a bunch of big banks sharing one ledger, where no single bank is in charge. And then there are hybrid models that try to give you the best of both worlds. You handle all your private stuff on a private chain, and then you anchor a proof of it onto a public chain for that ultimate unhackable security.
And this is a really cool, kind of next-level idea. Private blockchains don't necessarily get rid of intermediaries. They can just flip the power dynamic. In this model, the users, the participants, own and control the core network and all its data. The intermediary just becomes a pluggable service provider. They can offer a valuable service, sure, but they're ultimately replaceable. They're not the gatekeeper anymore. They're just another competitor.
So look, if you walk away with just one thought, make it this one. Public blockchains are trust machines built for the open, anonymous world. Private blockchains are efficiency engines built for the specific, closed world of business.
And trust me, the stakes for making the right choice here are absolutely massive. Gartner thinks blockchain is going to add over $3.1 trillion in business value by 2030. And that growth isn't just going to come from crypto speculation. It's going to be driven by real, practical business solutions built on the right foundation.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Now that you know the real difference, which model is going to build the future? The radical openness of the public park or the focused power of the efficient fortress? The answer is probably a mix of both, but it's a fascinating question to think about. Thanks for tuning in.